In yet another shocking case of intimate partner violence, a case has come to light, this time from suburb near Mumbai. A man has killed his girlfriend, then dumped her body stuffed in a suitcase with the help from his wife. Yes, his own wife. And in Noida, closer to the national capital of India, a husband killed his wife, a Supreme Court advocate, and then invited property dealers to their home to try and sell off their bungalow. Cold, calculated violence against a life partner. Is this a rising trend in India? We try and decode this very, very disturbing phenomenon.
Out for a holiday, or so it seemed to people who saw this family of three getting in this lift with a suitcase on the 9th of August. But they had casually walked out of a flat in Naigaon near Mumbai after stuffing the body of the resident in her own suitcase. According to the Naigaon police, the dead woman, 28-year-old makeup artist Naina Mahat and 43-year-old costume designer Manohar Shukla, both employed in Bollywood, were in a relationship. Manohar was married, had 2 children, and Naina wanted them to get married. On the 9th, they had a fight about this.
सुबह ही 10 बजे जो जब अंदर गया उसकी झटापटी हो गई वो कि तुम मुझे ऐसा करते हो, तुम मेरे साथ नहीं रहते, तुमने मेरे साथ शादी नहीं की, तो मैं अभी फिनेल पीऊंगी. फिर वो एसिड पीने की कोशिश की. तो ये बोला कि तुम मरना ही चाहती हो, इसीलिए वो बकेट में जो पानी था उसके सर को ऐसे बकेट में डुबो दिया. और 4-5 मिनट में उसका ये होने के बाद इसको घबरा गया कि अभी वो शायद बेशुद्ध है, उसको होश नहीं रहा होगा, इसीलिए वो बेड पे उसको सुला के काम पे चला गया.
According to the police, Manohar returned to the victim's apartment in the Suntech building at night with his wife and 1 child. They packed the body into a suitcase, rode to Valsad in Gujarat and threw it in a creek. Naina's sister filed a missing person report, but she could not be found for over a month. The disappearance was finally connected to an unidentified body found in Gujarat. Naina's body was unrecognizable, but her sister identified her by this tattoo. Naigaon police have charged Manohar with murder and both him and his wife with removing evidence. Cut to Noida, Sunday, 10th of September. A 62-year-old former Indian Information Service officer was arrested for murdering his wife, a Supreme Court lawyer, Renu Sinha, in their bungalow in Uttar Pradesh's Noida. All because Renu was opposing the sale of their home. The police said that the accused, Nitin Sinha, hid in the storeroom of the bungalow after committing the crime.
पुलिस की टीम, फॉरेंसिक की टीम और सभी अधिकारी मौके पर पहुंचे और मकान का ताला जो है वो बंद था, उसको दरवाज़ा तोड़ करके वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग में और अंदर जब जाके देखा गया तो महिला की डेड बॉडी पड़ी हुई थी. इसमें इनके पति नितिन नाथ सिंह जिनका नाम है, इनके द्वारा ये बात बताई गई कि चूँकि मैं ये प्रॉपर्टी बेचना चाहता था जिसमें ये रहती थी और उसी में इनका झगड़ा हुआ था. झगड़ा होने के कारण ये हाथापाई हुई इनकी और इन्होंने जो है अपनी पत्नी का गला दबा दिया जिससे उसकी मृत्यु हो गई.
A 32-year-old woman killed and chopped into over 20 pieces in Mumbai, not by a stranger, but her own live-in partner. From the gruesome murder of Shraddha Walkar by her longtime partner, to Nikki Yadav being killed and stuffed into a suitcase by her boyfriend, from a 16-year-old girl being stabbed to death in a busy lane in Delhi by her alleged lover, to now this incident in Mumbai. These murders have one thing in common. They were all committed by their partners in the heat of anger, a fight, or plain old jealousy.
When we are talking about crime against women, we are always harping on the statistics. But when we analyze, we observe that around more than 95% of the crime against women is perpetrated by people known to the women.
Every little girl is told to watch out for strange men. But no girl is ever told to be scared of her own husband or lover. People that she expects will be a safe space. But it's in these very spaces that she finds herself most vulnerable. But is the onus really on society? Society that tells its women that men will be men and that men will be violent. And therefore, the crisis in masculinity remains unresolved. With camera person Sanjay Kaushik and Pujaria, this is Nayanthara Singh for NDTV.
And the fact is that all these women on your television screens have been killed in their own homes by men they trusted, by men they believed were their protectors, till they turned out to be perpetrators, murderers. Joining me on the show, Nirmal Kaur, former DGP, Dr. Anjali Chhabria, psychiatrist. We also have Ishani Sharma, advocate of the Supreme Court. Nirmal Kaur, beginning with you, why do wives become partners in crime when it comes to relationships outside marriage?
I think this is strange, because wives somehow, more of an accomplice in killing her. She becomes an accomplice to get rid of the other woman. And I think this is a very strange thing, when don't look out for women. They're looking out for their own husbands, their own lives, their own family, but they don't really care for the other woman. And this is what has happened, stuffing her body in a suitcase, taking it along with the kid, so that no one suspects them. It is just like a normal family on an outing with a suitcase, and the wife is helping get rid of the body. So I think wives help because the continuity of the family or the social kind of expectation of a working family. And this kind of things, the lady wives have to, the girls, the wives have to really care for their husbands, but not to the extent of protecting them from a crime of murder like this, or any crime for that matter.
Okay.
You look out for your family, but you don't cover their crimes for them.
Okay, Dr. Chhabria, what explains this sudden rise in this nature of crime?
I don't know whether it's suddenly risen or we are noticing these things more and we are reporting it more. It definitely tells us that, of course, our police is working very well and our media is also working very well. But what actually the crux of the problem is that I think this whole thing about love and, we must tolerate anything and everything in love is what needs to be addressed. I think we need our youngsters, our young girls and boys to be educated about romance, relationships and how to deal with it. Because obviously it's not that suddenly somebody is woken up and killed you. There must have been signs of anger. There must have been signs of violence. And why is it that these women could not get out of the relationship? I think we need to understand that fact and we need to work with our youngsters in telling them about this. Of course, mental health issues have really gone over the roof, especially after COVID.
Yes, but Dr. Chhabria, the fact is that in Noida, a Supreme Court lawyer is killed by her husband only over a property argument, and then her body is inside the house while he shows his bungalow to various property dealers. It's more than just post-COVID, mental imbalance. I would say something is really, really broken here.
No, absolutely. So after COVID, as we were looking at COVID, I want that we need to assess mental health. Mental health needs to be assessed on a priority. We need a mental health minister in our country. We need people to find out what is stress, what is distress, why is the mind disturbed, and why are they going to such acts of anger. Now, let me just clarify one thing. All the people who have committed these acts are not mentally ill people. But what we need to understand is what is disturbing the balance. Why is it that anger is turning to violence, is turning to murder so fast? Okay. We definitely need to examine this, study this, and come up with better solutions.
Okay, Ishani, how can these women be protected?
I feel personally as a woman that the first step for any woman to be protected is herself, valuing herself. She should learn to value herself. A girl trying to drink phenyl and then another woman stuffing her body in a suitcase is bizarre. I mean, both the women are fighting for a man who is an abuser and fighting for the attention of a man who's an abuser. She wants to get married to him, and the other woman is helping a guy get rid of a body of a woman he claimed to love. I mean, it is bizarre. The women need to learn to respect themselves as women and stop going after, narcissistic personalities to start with, first. Secondly, in terms of law, there are so many laws already in place to protect women against act of violence, but then as ma'am rightly pointed out, that the signs of violence have to be identified by these women themselves to start with.
No, but you know, to put the onus on women may not be right. Nirmal Kaur, what kind of support do they really get? I mean, in the sense that first responders, in this case the police or the family or the society or their neighbors, they look at such relationships as taboo. We are still not mature as a society to accept a live-in partnership.
It doesn't happen only in live-ins, it happens in regular marriages also. The thing is, the dynamics of a man-woman relationship is changing. I mean, women were always under the control of men. And now though that control, you know, women also want some freedom. They want to come out of that control. But there are lots of partners who are aggressive, you know. They have aggressive behavior, show dominating tendencies, and they try to control the woman. And all this is happening because of, and it's a pattern. Why? It is not a standalone incident. If you see one incident by itself, it may not mean much. But if you see them together, you know, it's a pattern of violence that builds up. And when you are in this situation, it's very difficult to I mean, you think after all, it's par for the course. Choti si to baat hai, okay, he's hit me. Pehle kuch, he'll hit you slightly, then he'll hit you more. And the violence is escalated in stages. And by the time the violence escalates in stages, you are far too gone to psychologically to understand that it's real serious violence and threatening or actually committing physical assault, sexual assault, psychological assault. All this is, you know, it becomes par for the course in such abusive relationships.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Nirmal Kaur, Dr. Chabria and Ishani. That brings me to the end of this show.